What's the most iconic thing about Digimon? Is it the well thought out anime that still touches the hearts of fans, the iconic designs of how monstrous or the perfect Digimon that can be, or the interaction with friends we're back at the playground to see who had the strongest Digimon? For me, it's how Digimon can evolve based on how well you raise them. From reptiles to dinosaurs to plants to fairies, dog to cat to angel, yeah, don't question it. The diverse branches is what makes Digimon so different and interesting, that makes it so unique and enjoyable. So what the fuck is this? Numemon and Sukamon, who are canonically the bad results if you take poor care of your Digimon and let them poop everywhere they want and not clean it. Yep, this is the worst case result, and any level 3 stage Digimon can become these two, hence why they've always been so weak in all forms of Digimon media. And this is true in the card game, though a bit restrictive in the black cards. The Numemon side have canonically no level 3 Digimon, as any level 3 can become him. Same with Sukamon, but this video isn't about this little turd, so I'm just going to drop it here for now. Numemon was meant to be a weak joke deck, where you play out this level 4, then evo to the Manzaimon line for a small aggression or cheap evo. Until one day Bandai thought of, hey, you know what would be funny? Let's make Numemon good. Thus, from BT15 to BT17, Numemon reigned the card game meta as the true king for no really good reason, aside from a joke gone too far. Now these days, Numemon has stepped aside as Bandai directly hit the deck through the restriction list as his reign was too long. But what made Numemon so strong, and why did it last for so long? Why did it fall off the moment it was hit? Strap in everyone as we dive in to see what went wrong with Numemon. So we have a weird problem, as I said, Numemon has no canonical level 2 and 3 Digimon here. So instead, I'll talk about the ones that are important based on the deck's history, starting with Sunamon from EX04. A black level 2 who reads, Inherit effect, your turn, once per turn. When one of your Digimon digivolves, draw 1. So, this little guy was meant for the Omegamon Alter S deck in the same set for the Evo combo to DNA into him, but instead is here in a Numemon deck, as you'll most likely hard play a Numemon on the board, then Evo from there rather than Evo normally in the back of the breeding zone. This will allow you to get your draw 1 and have a level 3 on board with the effect ready to pop off next turn. Now, why would you just have a defensive level 3 on the board? Well, let me introduce you to a design flaw. Ukamon, the main level 3 you'll use in this deck, was made to advertise the latest Digimon movie from this current time, and was introduced in the card game shortly before the release of the movie. So what does he do? Well, Promo Ukamon is a cost-free white level 3 Digimon that can evolve on top of any color egg for free, who reads, your turn, once per turn. When one of your Digimon moves from the breeding area to the battle area, you may hatch in your breeding area, then gain 1 memory. Okay, so not only a free memory just for moving this guy up, but also immediate hatch so you can prepare the next egg for the next turn. For those who don't know why this is important, as a key mechanic of the card game is that the breeding area lets you either hatch or move up a non-Digi-Egg card from the breeding area. And the breeding area is supposed to allow access to safely evolve in the back without opponent's interference. Then when you are ready, you can move up the new stack to start a counterattack, but you must wait to hatch the next turn so they don't constantly spew out stacks of Digimon in the battle area that can't be dealt with until they come out. And there are some cards that ignore this, like the original Green Mimi, but she's only worked for green decks. In this case, this guy ignores all this and make multiple rookies hatch and evo even multiple copies of himself, flooding the amount of possible Ukamons that your opponent must deal with. Although it wasn't just one Ukamon that caused this problem, as we got BT16 Ukamon who holds the same stats except now it costs 1 to evo into. Now, why is that? Well, let's see what he reads. Your turn, once per turn. When one of your Digimon moves from the breeding area to the battle area, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 Digimon card or Tamer among them to the hand. Return the rest to the bottom deck, then you may hatch in your breeding area. Oh god. So, we get an Omni Searcher and a free memory, all for just hatching and moving it. Yeah, this is broken and annoying to deal with. In Numemon, it just gives you free pieces to easily make a Numemon along with its proper tamer, while you have an annoying Ukamon giving free resources, especially if your opponent doesn't deal with them. They are level 3 Digimon though, so they're not hard to kill, it just gets annoying to deal with as they are mainly there as a distraction, so you get Numemon all over your opponent. I will give honorable mentions to Promo Monimon and EX05 Togemon as a potential 5th egg to run, as it's easy to run out 4 eggs with this Utomon engine, so you might want to run a 5th egg. Both have a similar on deletion, but Togemon only works on your opponent's turn, and Monimon requires a black tamer to present to draw 1, but both are good options. As for the level 3s, you can run Stardeck Agumon, BT11 Agumon X, and these floodgates, since Numemon doesn't require a specific group in your deck. So the Agus are good for memory gain for the start main and search effect for any card with X antibody in the name, and a black tamer. This is also because the Promo Agumon is restricted, so Stardeck Agumon is not a bad choice. And I will cover those X antibody Digimon later, as they are the possible reason why this deck was a menace. As for the floodgates, since you rarely evo on top of your level 3s, unless you're desperate, you can just let these guys sit on the more annoying your opponent and forcing them to divert your attention away from the Numemon so you can continue your plays. Similar premise like Ukamon. Now, we get to the meat of this deck, and I will quickly start with BT2 Numemon, who is a black level 4 with a play cost of 3, evo for 1 from a level 2 black Digimon, and 3 KDB. This was the original Numemon card in the game, and was relevant due to the very cheap overall cost to make this guy in terms of evolution. The Evo 1 was useful for early black decks that need to evolve quickly to their level 6 as fast as possible, and similar case with the cost 3 in order to have a level 4 immediately for the price of 3. The obvious downside is he's weak as hell. He's as weak as a level 3 Digimon, so he was never used as a means of aggression or defending, just a quick Evo climb to the next level. This guy will be the base of the future cards from the Numemon line with the added effect that they can actually do something. Now these days, he's just a fossil forgotten time. Don't bother running him at all. Going a little out of order, I bring you RBO1 Numemon with 1k DP, cost of 2 on any black level 3 or yellow Digimon, and a cost of 3 to play, who reads, on deletion, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 Monzaimon in its name and 1 card with Numemon in its name among them to your hand. Place the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. Inheritance, upon turn, while this Digimon is Monzaimon or Numemon in its name, it gains blocker. If the previous was the base of Numemon, I would say this is the direct upgrade from it in terms of an archetype. We get the general style of how the deck wants to be played out. With this card alone, as it was given an on deletion rather than on play, so you most likely will swing with it for the search and hope it dies. Any search ability that gives 2 cards rather than 1 is a must, and the ability to give a Monzaimon or Numemon blocker is good for this specific archetype. However, the search being an on deletion still hurts, since it's very possible the Numemon can be removed without being deleted, or just not deleted at all. And the blocker abilities lock into Monzaimon and Numemon cards, limiting the other possible usages could have gotten, since black and yellow Digimon are actually a pretty good color combo to have. Overall, in a Numemon deck, it is definitely a good pick for you to have. I recommend at most 3, maybe 1 though. And moving forward from here, all of our level 4s have a play cost of 3 and a cost of 2 for their respective colors. Now we follow up with BT11 Getamon, originally for the Sukamon deck, but also count as a Numemon in his name, who reads, on play, by trashing 1 card with Numemon, Sukamon, Nanimon, or Edamon in his name, in your hand, draw 2. Yeah, he's your graceful charity for the deck, with the added effect that you actually want some Numemons in the trash. More on that later. Getamon might possibly be the best Numemon in the deck, despite lacking inheritance because of the play cost of 3 and draw power, and the fact he actually counts as Numemon. As long as you have a Numemon in hand, that's 2 new cards, and since he counts as a Numemon as well, you can trash him instead if you don't plan on using him anytime soon, and since he counts as Numemon, you can still safely evo for a cost of 3 into your Monzaimons. Easily 4 copies in most decks. Can't see a reason why not to run them at max copies. Maybe if you don't need 1 copy, fine, but 4 at most. Time for the possibly second best Numemon from BT14 and the Digibliss archetype, who reads, on play 1 Digivolving by placing 1 Satsuki Tamahime from your hand as this Digimon's bottom Digivolution card. 1 of your Digimon gains rush for the turn. Inheritance? Blocker. Basically, free tamer / attack. This was made when Digimon was promoting Digimon Seekers, and their main gimmick was sliding their tamers underneath their partner Digimon, either through Mind Link or effects like this where you can cheat them out for a free body and a tamer. Now, the rush effect doesn't even need to be on this Numemon. You can actually give it to another Digimon that might need it. In this case, this Numemon doesn't need it. Mostly, you'll use it on itself, but the choice is still pretty good. and this time the blocker inheritance is generic, letting you use other outside Digimon of the archetype without losing effects during Evo. And since she's here, I might as well mention what can she do in order to make sense on why she plus Numemon is a free attack. Satsuki here is a cost 3 Black Tamer who reads Security Effect. Play this card without playing the cost. Start main phase. If your opponent has a Digimon with Game 1 memory, you may mind link to one of your Digimon with Numemon or Montemon's name or the Digipolice trait. Inheritance. All turns, while this Digimon has Numemon or Montemon in his name or the Digipolice trait, this Digimon gains jamming and reboot. End of all turns, you may play one Satsuki Tahahime, I am sorry, I just can't pronounce the damn name, from this Digimon's evolution cards without paying the cost. You heard that right, this bitch comes with jamming and reboot for any Numemon, Montemon, and Digipolice Digimon that she is under, that she can slide out super easily at the end of any turn, as long as the end of that turn. And if it's your turn, you can easily slide her in as an accessible Digimon whenever you need her to be, so that you can make plenty plays that might make one of your Digimon leave the battle area. Then once the dust settles, slide her in a Numemon or Montemon and then go bada beam bada boom. You're unlikely to use the reboot side of the effect, but it's still good to use, and you'll most likely run multiples of her along with her Numemon to increase the odds to say Numemon rush for game and knowing your opponent before dying to the slime. At least run these cards at 3 copies depending on your build, but hey, who knows? Finally, we get BT-15 Getamon, who is also treated like a Numemon like his BT-11 counterpart, who reads, on play, on deletion, by trashing one card with Numemon or Sukumon in its name in your hand, one of your opponent's Digimon gains Secure Attack -1. Inheritance. When attacking, one of your opponent's Digimon gains Secure Attack -1 until the end of their turn. Okay, so this one's kind of a mixed bag. It's not bad, but it could have been better. Numemons prefer to rapidly spit out bodies, and if they have on-play effects, it's usually some sort of form of consistency or setup. Hell, even some of them are on deletions. So, discarding a card for Sec -1 isn't that worth it? However, in the late game, if you're losing or made a wide board and use them as a sacrifice to Prophet's effect, that's when this guy shines. You may never know when the stall effect like this may come in handy. It's just the fact you have to discard Numemon to Prophet that hurts. Luckily, its inheritance is just as easy when attacking with no other cost to use, so at least evolving on top of it is worth it. If you decide to run this guy, I say run 2 at most, because you don't want to see this guy till later in the game, but 3 is maybe a nice spot. And before I move on to level 5s, I know that I skipped over the most important card that had to get limited in order to stop this deck. For these 2 cards, I'll cover them at the end of this segment since they kind of go together and terrorize the card game alone, so wait for that. Moving on to the Monzaimons, we got the best one, RB1 Monzaimon. A play cost 7 yellow Digimon with an Evo cost of 4, or any yellow level 4 or 3 cost for Evo for any Numemon's name with 7k DP, who reads, on play, by placing one Digimon with a Numemon in its name from your trash as his Digimon's bottom evolution card, gain 2 memory. On play, when Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3k DP and Secure Attack -1. Inheritance, your turn, while this Digimon's Monzaimon or Numemon's name, it gains Secure Attack +1. Okay, so an on-play that can easily turn its 7 play cost to 5 by sliding a dead slime for a free inheritance, minus 3k DP and Sec -1 to either delete small bodies or stun big bodies from dealing damage, and Sec +1 for Monzaimon Numemons after this one. Need I say more? This lovable teddy bear just does everything for this deck in order to easily interrupt your opponent's Digimon, and if you have to play this man and still have a turn you can possibly give it rush thanks to BT-14 Numemon's effect. How do we keep turn doing that? I'm going to talk about the next 2 to get to the start of the show. Run for this guy, and if you don't, you're thrown. Next, we got BT-14 Monzaimon, who has the exact same stats and traits as RB1 Monzaimon, who is literally the same thing but has Armor Purge instead of the when Digivolving on-play effect. Yeah, this guy is kind of irrelevant since you lose the best part of the previous Monzai all for Armor Purge. And yeah, it can help, but it's best to have some sort of destructive effect to get rid of bodies or stun them rather than have a small effect deletion that reverts you back to a weak Numemon. Don't run this guy unless you make a budget version of this deck, since RB01 Monzaimon was kind of pricey for its time, but now he's lowered to $2 a piece, so there's no excuse for this. Moving on, we got BT-15 Waru Monzaimon with the same stats traits like the previous Monzaimons, except he is a black card rather than a yellow card, who reads, On play, when Digivolving. By trashing one card with Numemon's name from your hand or this Digimon's evolution cards, you Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. On play, by placing one card with a Numemon in its name from your trash as his Digimon's bottom evolution card until the end of your opponent's turn, none of their Digimon with a cost 5 or less can attack players. Okay, he is good, but not good enough to be the main Monzai. Don't get me wrong, the Digivolving effect is easy to prompt since it's both on play and when Digivolving for the price of a Numemon from trash or source. And if you had to hard play this guy for the main on play, stopping small bodies from attacking, you can help give you another turn, especially in the mirror match or some sort of rookie rush deck. The reason it isn't great is because he lacks the ability to gain memory for playing him out like the other two, making him a hefty cost of 7 that might be too much to spend to stop small bodies. However, he at least has some sort of effect that can stop potential ace plays or possible rush decks that can overwhelm Numemon. And he is still a Monzaimon with the same inheritance, so he is still better than BT14 Monzaimon. Run at 2, as when he comes up, he usually shows up when he's needed at that point. Now, there is Black Numemon here, but I'll be honest, he isn't that great either. He's just a search effect that can grab a Monzaimon and play a Numemon among the 3 cards that were searched, all by deleting it. And losing a body for potentially not getting a new one is just not worth it. Now, I have mentioned the Monzaimon's inheritance and acknowledge that they have some great effects, despite my bashing with RPA1 Numemon for having a similar restrictive effect. Well, it's true, it would have been generic Sec +1, but if you combine Satsuki with Monzaimon X Antibody with one of these Monzais underneath, that's 2 checks with jamming on a level 5 Digimon. This guy is a cost 8 yellow Digimon with the Evo 3 on any level 4 yellow or black Digimon, or 0 on a Monzaimon without the X Antibody name with 8 KDP who reads, when Digivolve. If a card with Monzaimon in its name or X Antibody in its evolution sources, you may play one Numemon or level 3 Digimon from your hand without paying the cost. All turns, once per turn. When one of your other Digimon is played, one of your opponent's Digimon gets -2 KDP for each of your Digimon until the end of their turn. Remember that rush strat I mentioned? Yeah, this is how you keep turn in order to play this guy out. The ability to play a Numemon or any level 3 Digimon is already strong enough, but the fact you can DP reduce by 2k DP for each Digimon you control is insane. You can easily kill the strongest of level 6 Digimon, even ones with effect protection, since DP reduction lingers to the end of your opponent's turn, not yours. So if your opponent has Adventure War Greymon or Magnamon X affected by this effect, but currently they're immune to effects, the moment you pass your turn, that DP reduction will hit and possibly kill these bodies, since it's super easy to get -10k plus to your opponent. And since you can play any Numemon with this effect, it's only natural you evolve him or into Numemon X, who reads, all turns, while this Numemon or X Antibody is an evolution source, it gains on deletion. You may play one Digimon with Numemon in its name from your trash without paying the cost. Inheritance. On deletion, you can play one Digimon with Numemon in its name for your trash without paying the cost. This guy doesn't see much, but is one of the major players that keep Numemon aggressive as long as they have this on deletion. The ability to play any Numemon name with this effect bypass any having to evolve into a Platinum Numemon, who I'll go over in a bit later, but the fact you can go to level 6 for free whether you died as a Numemon X or another Digimon with his inheritance. It didn't help that you could actually play itself and just evolve on top of it to get that on deletion again. It gave Numemon a constant wide board no matter what you did to it. Add in the fact you play 4 copies and Monzaimon X can spawn more Numemons to evolve on top of that, and you're in a rough time. Unfortunately, it was also hid by the limited list, so you can only play 1 copy, so you better make it count. Now I can talk about the level 6s, but this also will be handled a little differently since the best ones aren't actually part of the archetype, but are relevant for this video because of how good they were. And only 2 of the actual canon level 6 can be considered, as the others were made to fit in the deck, but were made for other decks of mine, so skipping those. We'll start with RBO1 Shin Monzaimon, a yellow level 6 with a play cost of 13 and 13k DP. Evil for 5 on any level yellow 5, or on a Monzaimon or Numemon for a cost of 4 in its name, who reads, when Digivolving, place all level 3 Digimon face down on top of their owner's security stacks in any order. Then, All your opponent's level 4 or higher Digimon get -3k DP and security attack -1 for their turn, until the end of their turn. When attacking, by trashing one card with Numemon in its name and its Digimon's evolution cards, place one of your opponent's Digimons face down at the bottom of their security stack. So, aside from the awesome Nightmare Bear design that feeds off of rookie Digimon, he's not that great in his own deck, unfortunately. He does make sense with the context of summoning level 3 Digimon, then sliding them in both player security, then make a stun blanket to all your opponent's level 4 and higher Digimon. However, it costs too much for an R-type level 6 that has only a when attacking that requires you to get weaker just to move an opponent's Digimon to their security, effectively giving them a recover +1. For early build of the deck, he was fine, but if you don't have any level 3 Digimon, you're not getting any recovery out of him and just aren't strong enough to compete with all these guys with layers of protection or power to overwhelm him. In the pure variant of this deck, yeah, mess around for a maximum 3 copies. Aside from that, if you want to play a competitive style, I'm sorry, but don't bother with this guy. Next, we got the BT14 Lord himself, Platinum Numemon. Slime Jesus here has a play cost of 10 with an Evo of 3 from any black or yellow level 5 or Numemon or Montemon's name. He has 9k DP and reads, on play when Digivolving. By trashing one card with Numemon in his name from your hand, gain 2 memory. On deletion, you may play one level 5 or lower Digimon card with Numemon or Montemon in his name from your hand without paying the cost. So, obviously he was intended to evo into, gain 2 memory, then swing for 2 checks with the Monzai inherited, and then he hoped to die to play a new Monzai to start the process all over again. Well, this escalated thanks to Numemon X, who can play even this guy for free, or at least most gain 2 memory just by playing him, or if you did the prior have Numemon X to revive himself and play Monzai with his on deletion, just to flood the board with nothing but a never-ending flood of slimes. Plus, he's important to have him revived so you can actually go into the devastating level 7s that can completely shut down your opponent's counterattacks. So, yeah, I say play at least 2 copies since Numemon X is limited, but it is still very important to run in a modern Numemon deck. Now, to talk about 2 important Ace Digimon that, even though one was a little late, it's important to mention since it's still used in the current deck, starting with Valkyremon Ace, a yellow-red level 6 with a play cost of 7 and an evo cost of 4 off of any level 5 yellow or red, or 3 off of Sylveon. With 12k DP, he reads, can counter Blast Digivolution. I'm not going over that for the next one. On play, when Digivolving, all your opponent's Digimon gets -5k DP per turn. All turns, once per turn, when a card is removed from a security stack, delete one of your opponent's 8k DP or lower Digimon. If this effect didn't delete, this Digimon gains security attack +1. Since you obviously don't run Sylveon at all, you are just using this as an easy ace target, since your main boss monsters are the yellow Monzaimon X's. A -5k board can easily wipe small bodies and weaken bigger bodies, so when they do a security check, they might die by the card all turns effect, since there's a chance it might be lower than 8k DP, or easy to block thanks to Numemon's generic abilities. And when it's time to be aggressive, you actually have a chance to do 2 checks with him. But you still run the risk of him dying and losing 4 memory since he is still an ace. At most, run 2 of him, since despite him being very good, if you're stuck with Robert Monzaimon on the board, you can't blast into him due to being black. But the next ace actually gets over this problem. Introducing Shadow Seraphimon Ace, a black and yellow level 6 with a play cost of 7 and evo off of 4 off of any level 5 or black Digimon. Or that whole black text box that's irrelevant here and I don't feel like reading that. Has 12k DP and read blocker on play when Digivolving, de-Digivolve 3 one of your opponent's Digimon. All turns, once per turn. When the attack target is changed, one of your opponent's Digimon gets -5k DP for the turn. Oh boy, this guy was already perfect thanks to being both yellow and black, so he can evo on top of all level 5s in the deck. With the ability to de-Digivolve 3 to one of your opponent's Digimon, and if you were able to block where attack was redirected, you get -5k to one of your opponent's Digimon, not even the one that's even attacking. Since he has a blocker and a good chance your other Digimon will have blocker, it's pretty easy to prompt this all turn. Of course, it is an ace, so you gotta make sure it doesn't die, so be wary of that. Run this guy at least 2, but if you can run a 3rd copy, then go ahead, you'll definitely piss off some locals when using this guy. To wrap this up, the 2 level 7s we got was one mainly taking his debut after the list, but it's actually really good in this deck. First, we got Shine Greymon Runemo, a play cost 14 with an evo for 5 from any purple or yellow level 6 Digimon, or 4 from Shine Greymon. With 15k DP, he reads, When Digivolving on deletion, until the end of your opponent's turn, next turn, all your opponent's Digimon gain minus 5k DP. End of attack, delete this Digimon and one of your opponent's Digimon and recover +1. Then if you have a Tamer in play, attach one Digi-Egg to an empty space in your breeding area. Okay, so this is a Digimon that you're likely to evolve into Slime Jesus, since the most important part is to inflict a lasting minus 5k to your opponent for almost 3 or 4 turns, stopping them from making any plays during the time. Well, what do I mean? When you have an effect that reduces your board's DP to potentially 0, and you try to play a body that'll definitely die by this effect, the moment that Digimon is played, their DP reduces to 0 and instantly dies, before the game can even acknowledge it was even played, meaning no on plays, no on deletions, or any possible effects that would normally happen, just wasted memory. And stopping your opponent from playing any Digimon 5k DP or less basically makes them either play something bigger or non-Digimon cards, or evolve in the back and wait till you can play the game again. And since Numemon's effect lasts longer than Bout cases, it just makes it near impossible to work around. And if he lives the next turn after making him in fear of activating the same effect again, well, just attack with this guy so he can blow himself up and do it again. Plus you get a hatch and a recover +1. He is kind of pricey, but if you got one, definitely run at least one of him, and he is a level 7, so you don't want too many pieces of him. Now I would say run 2 copies, and if you want, sure, but with the new Chaosmon Balder arm around, I say this one can be considered just as much as Rumor. A level 7 green and yellow Digimon with a play cost of 15 and Evo for 5 off of any level 6 green or yellow Digimon. Or with one level 6 yellow and with one green level 6 or black level 6. With 15k DP he reads Secure Attack +1, Partition, yellow level 6, and green or black level 6. When Digivolving, for each of this Digimon's level 6 Digivolution card, to spend one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers and then gain 1 memory. Then none of your Digimon or Tamers can activate on-play effects or unsuspend until the end of their turn. So, if Ruin Mode wasn't bad enough, Chaosmon here can spend and stun at least 1 body, 2 if you have 2 megas underneath and gain memory while stunning all your opponent's on-play effects and prevent them from unsuspending. Man, these guys can be unfair sometimes. If you get hit by this guy and don't have a Digimon back, you might as well go to the next round because the game is basically over by this point. Not to mention Partition, since it's possible to DNA with a mention level 6 and play them out with the effects. Plus, you can save your ace with this effect and activate their on-play effects again, so you can punish for losing your body. I say run this guy as a single copy if you're also running Rune Mode with it. If not, run 2 if you can. I recovered the main Tamer here, so here are the option cards that will help for consistency and cheaper Evo content. Sepia Memory Boost is the main boost to run, since you can grab either any yellow or black Digimon and a delay effect for 2 memory. Then there's Cootie's Kick, a black option card with a play cost of 2 who reads. When you use this card, if you have a black Tamer play, reduce the cost by 1. Main, until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your Digimon with Numemon, Sukamon, Nanimon, or Etamon in its name can't be blocked, and it gains, on deletion, gain 3 memory. Security effect, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. You may play 1 black Digimon with a play cost of 3 or less among them without paying the cost. Trash the rest. Yeah, you don't really play this card, or at least a single copy, since being unblockable is nice, and your opponent might hesitate to delete that Numemon since gaining 3 memory can help continue the turn. Then we got X Antibody Protoform, which is here to evo to the next stage for reduced cost of 1 into any X Antibody Digimon. Mostly Monzemon X, in case going through the long way isn't possible. Plus, if the stack will be removed with this card underneath, you can grab a source back to hand, then put it on top of security so when it is checked, you'll add it back to your hand and continue the cycle with Numemon for game. The Numemon playstyle was all about spawning small bodies, whether it be Numemons or level 3 Digimon with Monzemon X, to get rid of those opponents' bigger bodies, only to attack with 2 checks with jamming, with possibly reboot the next turn. And if your opponent could counterattack or delete your Digimon, there is usually some sort of search effect, stun effect, or floating effect to keep pressure, or just blast ace into these guys that just makes it very difficult to fight back. Not to mention, with the 8 of Ukemons, the deck was faster than most other decks, leaving only few like Magamon X or Tyrant Kabuterimon, the only few that can fight back, and even then, if they played right, they could still die by Monzemon X effect when their immunities wear off. And in a mirror match or against another level 3 focus deck, the deck had extra space to slide in tamers like Digimon Emperor or Louie to benefit on moving up or punishing your opponent for moving up. Not to mention all the floodgates the deck would run just to prevent your opponent from gaining advantage. Hell, I heard Numemon killed security control from the meta due to being too fast and not caring that they die because they just make a new body replace it. This would continue until August 23, 2024 when a new restriction list was released and limits Numemon X, Promo Ukamon, and Promo Louie each to 1 copy, reducing its immense speed, recovery, and control that the deck originally produced. Bandai realized the joke had gone too far and now to put down their funny buddy. But not completely out. So with all that said, how bad was the hit on Numemon? Well, it's true that Numemon was weakened immensely by the list, but the hit wasn't necessarily bad enough to kill it. As much as I hate to admit it, Numemon was just too fast to compete against, as most decks need some sort of time to set up, but instead you fight a man with a sewer slime that just yells "get good" at you. It was infuriating for most players since Numemon requires little to no setup and just plays aggressive without consequences, unless you get hit by a well-timed Valk Ace or Rune Mode to stun them for a turn. But with the restrictions, now I would say the deck is way more fair with the revivability now less likely to happen, and with 3 less Ukos and Louis to prevent so much free advantage for just playing Solitaire. This leaves out some empty space for the deck to fill out. Some pieces can be replaced with a similar card, like Promo Ukamon can be replaced with the Black Agumon, who from the starter deck, who can gain a memory at the start main phase, but requires your opponent to have a Digimon to work and won't hatch a new egg to prepare immediately for the next turn. As for Louie, you can run more Satsuki's and the Digimon Emperors instead, as there isn't really an exact replacement for this one. Same with Numemon X, so instead you can run a bit more of the BT15 Getamon or BT14 Numemon for his more stun or aggression, but this can depend on your own personal locals. After a few tests with the deck and messing around with some of the new cards in it, I can say that despite the deck being nerfed, it can still put up a good fight to even some modern day decks. As long as you're patient and make the correct setup, you can still make the same Monzaimon X play with just as much power as before, just don't be reckless with the possible ace plays or redirection effects that can hurt you back. True, the speed recovery has been reduced, but you can maintain a level of control by using Monzai effects to play out new Numas, to swarm the board and eventually turboing into either Rune Mode or Chaos Mod with the aid of Platinum Numemon to gain just enough memory to go to your level 7. Plus, if you can set up multiple Monzais on the field, you can easily sub for an ace play, and all of your level 6 Digimon can actually DNA to Chaos Mon if they're all out on the field. Yes, the deck lacks protection from effects, and can still be punished by D-Digiball effects, so it's likely that you might prefer to hard play some of your aces rather than Evo for extra bodies to swarm and add pressure. But again, the deck can't be too reckless. Now since it lacks Numemon X survivability, so it's riding a lot on Monzaimon X to carry the rest of the deck. Now, you can also run a level 5 that I believe is EX5 Enamon, who can force your opponent to attack the next turn to force an ace play. I recommend this because he so happens to be a black and yellow Digimon who can evolve on top of any of your Numemons or Garamons. Along with that, his inherent effect actually lets you play more if an attack is redirected. So, hey, not a bad option. And since its speed was reduced, there are times where you might be one turn too late against other hyper-aggressive decks like Omegamon and Megidramon, who can make their big bodies and deal a lot of damage while having a flow effect when they leave the board. In the end, Numemon has proven himself to being from a joke deck to being a messiah of this current era of modern decks with its immense speed and recovery, along with its swarming ability and a very flexible card pool to use. Now, these days the deck is most likely only to wreak havoc in local tournaments, but make no mistake, because if you underestimate this deck, it will hit hard, and before you know it, you may have already lost the game. I think with the current deck, there is a possibility that if some sort of new support or strong generic card was introduced that so happened to work with this deck, were to be released, it is very possible that Numemon can jump back into the metagame once again. I mean, like I mentioned, the EX5 Enamon actually works really well with it. Another generic card like that, and maybe it will come back. Though, for those hoping that Numemon X were to come back, that is unfortunately very unlikely to ever happen, and possibly we'll just get a new, worse version of Numemon X, similar to what happened to a Pokemon. What do y'all think about Numemon? Do you think it has a chance to come back, or should it remain in the past where it can't reach you anymore? Was there anything I missed? And if so, go ahead and comment down any information that might have been left out. And until then, see ya!